Hello, everybody. Progressive Hoodie here. Happy Thursday to you. It's Super Thursday. All right. Um, Elizabeth Warren has dropped out of the race, and I am literally just finding this out now, but I think it happened a while ago. There are a few thoughts that I have on it. Um, First of all, I'm glad that she has done that, and I genuinely do want to say thank you, Elizabeth Warren, for um, removing yourself from the race. One of the things, as a Bernie Sanders supporter, that has concerned me a little bit was what the dynamic would be like with Bernie, Biden, and Elizabeth Warren on the debate stage. And I just don't think I feel like it was definitely going to be one of those really awkward situations, and then she's got to figure out how she's going to play it, and she's kind of been a wild card throughout this thing. Um, uh, from all of the stuff that happened with Bernie Sanders and the accusations of like secret sexism to backtracking somewhat on the implementation at least of Medicare for All, basically coming out with a public option type of first step and then a separate Medicare for All vote, the super PAC grandstanding nonsense where she basically threw Bernie Sanders under a bus and then turned around and brought on board this dark money super PAC, um, staying in past South Carolina when it became evident at that point that she really had no path to the nomination based on not only what she had done up until that point, but then also the polls for the upcoming states. It was clear that she had no path at that point. So to continue in the race, so she's been kind of this wild card that's been kind of difficult to predict what she's going to do and where she's going to go. My predictions up until this point have been on this channel have been pretty clear. I said that I thought she would either A, um, drop out and potentially endorse Biden, or B, she actually really was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and she was going to basically try to go all the way to the convention. Like, what is this going to do for you? Nothing. Um, so, anyway, a few things real quick, and then I will let you go. This from Elizabeth Warren. Our work continues. The fight goes on, and big dreams never die. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Um, you know, yeah, you're right. The work does continue. But your work should be now to help the progressive movement. This is not about helping Bernie Sanders. This is not about helping Bernie Sanders supporters. That's what ticks me off about all the stupid hand wringing and pearl clenching over, oh, a Bernie bro was mean to me online garbage. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the online Bernie bros. What percentage of the population uses Twitter? The majority don't. It's not about the stupid Twitter people. This is about the American people. She has a difference right now. She has an opportunity right now to stand up and make a difference for the American people by endorsing and supporting a candidate who stands with working families, always has, who stands with the working class, always has, whose policies have been consistent in helping out. When Joe Biden was looking out for the credit card companies, Bernie was looking out for those of us who are consumers out here who are just trying to make it from paycheck to paycheck. While Biden was sending our people off to an unnecessary regime change wars all over the globe, and specifically the Iraq war, supporting that war of oil, Bernie Sanders was here opposing the Iraq war. While Joe Biden was writing up the crime bill, Bernie Sanders was making clear what the problems could be going forward with that bill. Over and over and over again. While Biden was kowtowing to and giving in to pressures to oppose gay marriage and into the homophobia in this country, Bernie Sanders opposed that and stood up even to a fellow member of Congress to tell him he was out of line for the way he referred to members of our military who were risking their lives every day. While Bernie Sanders has been principled and has been wrong on certain issues, such as the gun, his opinions on gun rights and things like that, Joe Biden has been a cynical actor in this whole thing who has basically been about how this can benefit him, and he has been one of the people who are a part of what we call the corrupt establishment. We talk about the corruption within D.C. Joe Biden is one of the people you think about. He was not called the senator from MBNA for nothing. So there's stark differences between these two people. And if Elizabeth Warren, who jumped into this whole political thing in the first place to oppose Joe Biden and his and what he was doing at the time, I don't understand how you can jump in this to oppose him and to oppose his kowtowing to the credit card companies, and then now end up in a place where you leave the race and endorse him. That's crazy. Or leave the race and just simply be neutral and get on the sidelines again. You said the fight continues. Well, then we expect to see you stay in this fight by endorsing Bernie Sanders. Look, at this point, I was saying right before she dropped out, I don't care whether she endorses Bernie Sanders or not. I just want her out the race. I want her out. She has acted as a spoiler up until this point. Just get out. Let's go mano-a-mano, one-on-one, and let's see where this thing goes. Bernie Sanders needs to go on the offense with Biden and take the fight to him, not stay on defense. Needs to reframe all of these issues. Everything, Medicare for All is one of the big ones that needs to be reframed. How many people are going to die under Joe Biden's plan? How many people are going to still not have care because he wants to give them quote unquote access to care, meaningless access to care? How many people will die under his plan? Many will. How many people will die from outbreaks similar to what we got going on right now because the other people don't get tested, they don't get checked because it's too cost prohibitive, and they end up with coronavirus or something similar to that? How many people? That's the question that needs to be asked. Elizabeth Warren will have to do soul searching and answer those questions for herself. So at this point, for me personally, I don't care. I am personally at the point where I welcome her endorsement if she chooses to give it, but I'm not, I'm off the Elizabeth Warren train for good until she has proven otherwise. Her endorsing Bernie Sanders would be just the first step to repairing these bridges that she's burnt, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm several bridges away from Elizabeth Warren, several burnt bridges removed from Elizabeth Warren at this juncture. Okay, so we'll see what she does, but regardless, I'm glad she's out. I do not want her being a factor on the debate stage. I don't want her siphoning any more votes from Bernie Sanders. I want to see what happens when Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden go head to head. Maybe it's worse. Maybe Joe Biden will get more of the vote. Maybe Bernie Sanders will get even more blown out. We don't know. I believe that if Bernie Sanders has a chance to really efficiently make the case against stuttering, sputtering Joe Biden, I think we're going to win that case. But I certainly don't know if we got a little gnat buzzing around. I mean, this is the equivalent of trying to have a one-on-one match, and you got a little gnat, Elizabeth Warren gnat, buzzing around Bernie Sanders the whole time. Like, it's just nothing but a distraction from what's actually taking place and the real substantive. The American people have a choice right now. And so I sincerely, not sarcastically, I sincerely want to thank Elizabeth Warren right now for withdrawing from the race and letting the American people see these two that are really the only two that have a legitimate chance at this point anyway. Go head to head and figure out what our option really is, what our choice really is in this primary going forward. So if you're an Elizabeth Warren out there supporter and you're watching this, I know you're going to have different opinions on her than I do, and I respect that. You have a right to feel differently about her and about what she has stood for. She is one of the most intelligent people running in this. I've said that over and over again, and I really do welcome her to support Bernie Sanders. I would love to have that support. I'm sure we would all like to have her endorsement regardless of, I don't know how effective it's going to be at this point, but just to simply have someone, when you've got everybody that's a part of the Washingtonian life, the neoliberal consensus, the neoliberal majority of Washington, D.C., that's basically coming out against you. To have someone step up and say, no, I know there's been some bad blood during this election cycle, but at the end of the day, this isn't about my relationship to Bernie Sanders. This is about stopping the presidency that we claim in Washington, D.C., we claim is the most dangerous presidency of all time, the worst presidency of all time. Nothing says that we're not serious about countering that threat any clearer than nominating someone who can't even complete a sentence without stuttering through it with in an unclear fashion, adding all these extra crazy phrases that don't even make any sense, talking in circles around himself, losing track of his thoughts, stopping himself from talking before his time is even up. And it's, it's not even so much the stuttering. The stuttering, I think, is a problem in terms of the style, not the substance, but the style, the way it comes across. You're going to go up against Donald Trump, who's going to be talking circles around you in that respect, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good look. But that's not what's important. What's important is the substance, and the substance of what Biden is saying. I want to see this one-on-one of Bernie Sanders delivering this substance, and then hearing Joe Biden, come at him with just the most far out there, like, where even am I? Am I in Delaware? Is it Super Thursday? Like, is my wife? Is it my sister? Like, where, was I locked up with Nelson Mandela? Like this, like this is serious, people. This is serious. And it's time we start taking it seriously. So thank you, Elizabeth Warren, for showing that you realize that there are only two options left in this primary, because that is the reality. Now, hopefully you will come out and endorse Bernie Sanders. And if you do, I will eat humble pie. I will make a video titled "I Was Wrong" and come out here and say that Elizabeth Warren has endorsed Bernie Sanders, and we'll talk about that when that time comes. But until then, I would not be surprised if she does the same thing she always does whenever there's a serious fight: sit on the sidelines until the fight's over. That's the Elizabeth Warren way. We'll see.